Hi everybody. Welcome to my channel, Oracle with the Crows. This is Melody. So I just wanted to throw a little quick video out there to let you know that I'm almost done with the monthlies and I'm going to be uploading them pretty soon. Hopefully by tomorrow, because today's Thursday, by Friday. So I just wanted to let you know I have been working on them and I haven't forgotten about you guys. So, one of the reasons why I'm doing this video is not just to let you guys know that I am busy working on the monthlies, but to let you know that I actually had a chance to extend my mediumship abilities last night in the dark because we are in October, and as the closer we get to the end of October, the thinner the veil gets. So it's going to be easier to communicate with the spirit, so to speak. So where I went last night and stretched my mediumship abilities out isn't too far from where I live. And I also had a friend with me who is she just awakened and she's very gifted as well. So I've been working on her. I opened up her third eye, started to decalcify it, did a Reiki session on her, opened up all of her chakras. So I kind of like opened her up a little bit. And because she was with me, I we were like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I was kind of like guiding her, so to speak, and confirming some of the things that she was feeling and hearing. Let me tell you, it was quite interesting. Um, where I went with Jeff Friend of Into the Woods with Jeff, we didn't go that deep into that area, but because she has a little car and you need an SUV to go deep into where me and Jeff went to, but the area was just, well, let me tell you. So the beginning of our adventure, we went up a little bit past where me and Jeff went, and she's like, "Well, this place creeps me out." And I'm like, "Well, okay." So I step out of the car and I was like, "Is it because you feel like you're being watched?" And she's like, I really never thought about it in that point of view, because she goes, "Yeah, exactly." And I'm like, "All right." So needless to say, it's pitch dark outside. So we had flashlights and we're strolling down a road. It was a dirt road, and I could hear like crunching in the woods. Like I felt like we were being followed by Bigfoot. To tell you the truth, because I was looking at all the structures, and I mean there was all kinds of structures. And let me tell you, it was quite an interesting place. And then I heard hello, hello, and I'm like, hello. I answered back. He was like, hello, because the thing is about being a medium is the spirits know that they know who is gifted and who to reach out to. So I was like, hello, and I was like, I heard hello, who are you, and like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, we come in peace, we cause no harm, we don't want no trouble, we're just here checking things out. And she actually seen a face to go with that voice. I, however, did not see the face. I scanned with my flashlight, and when I come across a specific area, probably about the place where I heard the voice, she actually seen the face. And she seen the area we were at is where George Washington brought his troop through during the Revolutionary War. So and it was wintertime at that point in time when the Revolutionary War was happening. So there was a lot of death in that area because it was wintertime. And if you think about the Revolutionary War, we didn't have the medicine and the technology that we do today in 2020. So we're talking a couple of hundred years ago, longer. I'm not a history buff. I really don't know when it happened. You guys will know that. So research it if you don't know. Might be something interesting. You may find out, come across the area where we were at. So we tell you a little bit more about this adventure. So she's like, well, I can't take it anymore. Let's go. So we hurry. Well, we didn't hurry, but we walked back to the car. We hopped in. And as we were going down, like I would see apparitions, what I was considering animal spirits, because when animals die, they have a spirit too. And when they die, especially if they were like poached or killed and just left to rot. It's like the same as us humans who were like murdered. Our spirits have a tendency to linger, like residual energy. So I was seeing all kinds of that, like all kinds, I feel like animal spirits, because I really wasn't hearing any communication. So, sorry. So we're going down the road, and somebody popped in my third eye that had a bicycle mustache. So to me, again, that's the older time frame. I feel like it was a spirit during that time because, like I said, it was during the winter time. There was a lot of death, pneumonia, and they didn't have the technology like we do today and the medicines to help people. Pneumonia is just like having a flu nowadays. Think about it back then. It was like, there was no cure, there was no assistance. You got it and you basically died. So that's kind of like the energy that I was feeling at that particular spot. So she wanted to get out of there because it creeped her out, and I was actually okay with it because I felt like I was feeling more of the Bigfoot energy, and like I said, I heard that hello. So we left there. I went to another spot, and again, I don't know, my mind just went blank. There's something about that spot that makes me go blank. It's like something I'm not supposed to know is what I feel. So we're just gonna move on to the next area, which is where me and Jeff Friend went, but not as deep in the woods. This is more a little bit back. Well, where we went to, there's a legend. And the legend is I'm just going to tell you, it's a legend of Betty Knox. So if you want to Google that, that's where we were at, was Betty Knox. That's how it got its name. So we went there and we pulled in, and another vehicle pulled in not too far from, or not too long after we pulled in, which kind of creeped us out a little bit. And then it stayed. It went down the road a little bit further, and it was just sitting there. So we sat there for a few minutes just to see what I was doing, and finally we got out of the car and we went for a hike. This is where things start to get interesting. So we went over the gate and we started walking up, and immediately there was something following us. There was something, and it was dark. And I mean, it was not just dark literally, but I mean, the energy was dark. It was really creepy. Like, it really creeped me out. And I've been through a lot. Like, I've actually had demons come at me in my sleep, and if I can handle that, this creepiness, I mean, it was even worse than that. Like, it was bad dark. So I'm like, my friend's like, well, do you want to turn around? I was like, because I got to face this fear. Being a medium, you have to face that fear of the unknown. So we just kept going. And we were walking up. And I kept turning around because I kept feeling it. I knew it was there. And I kept turning around like, all right, is there something behind us? There was nothing there. Pitch black. So as we're walking up, I felt like Bigfoot was following beside us because I kept hearing the crunching in the woods. Like somebody was walking with us. You know how when you listen to Jeff walk in the woods, you hear the crunching of him walking on the sticks? That's what I was hearing. You just seen all kinds of structures, like they were there. I felt like they were watching over me and my friend because when I went with Jeff, I felt nothing but peace with them. They caused no harm. I feel like they recognized me because I had the same jacket on, which I have with me today, and they feel like they recognized my voice. So I just feel like they were there watching over me and my friend as we were going up this path. So she's like, well, I gotta show you this. I gotta show you this. We're gonna go up to, there's like a little lookout point. I don't like heights. I'm vertically challenged. I'll just say it that way. Because I am a Cancer, I have a tendency to walk a little sideways. I'm a crab. That's what we do. We walk sideways. So heights, especially that far down, it really scares the crap out of me. So I did go up to the edge and I flashed the light down over it because she's like, this is where they throw bear carcasses. And I'm like, ooh, that's kind of creepy. I imagine like maybe bears that people hit or poached or, and where we were at, there is a lot of bears. So you can't eat bear meat. I mean, it's something that you can do. There's a lot of hunting that goes on up there. So we're up on the edge. We flash the light down. She's like, "You can see the skulls on it." I'm like, "I don't know if I want to see that." I don't like heights. So I backed up and got away from it. We turned around and started. I mean, we just turned around and started heading down, and we heard a growl. I'm like, "Did you hear that?" She's like, "No, that was a truck." She was like, dismissed it as something else. I'm like, "All right, you believe what you want, but I know what I heard." And then we got like 10 steps ahead of that, and I heard another one. And I was like, "Hey, did you hear that?" She goes, "That's that truck." And I'm like, "That's not a truck, honey." So we turned around and we were walking really fast to get down this path. And mind you, there was no lights whatsoever because we're in the middle of the woods. So we get down through the path, and I could hear Bigfoot walking back down with us. And the further we got to the ends of that path, the less creepier it got. So I really feel that growl that we heard was the bear spirits because of their carcasses being there, which was really weird. I mean, it was a grrr, and it was quite interesting. So before I go any further with that story, the other place that we stopped between the first place and then Betty Knox, we stopped at another place, and we got out, and there's like a logging road. So we went down that road, and we're talking back and forth, and I'm flashing lights because I'm hearing things. I'm hearing the footsteps, the crunching of the sticks as you're walking in the woods. And I'm like, "Do you hear that?" And she's like, "Hear what?" I'm like, "Okay." And then we took the flashlight. We turn around and come back up the road because we were going downhill. And she's like, when you go down, you got to come back up. I'm like, "You got a point." So we decided to turn around halfway and come back up. And we come to the top, and I'm flashing a flashlight across the field. And all you seen was eyeballs. Eyeballs everywhere, up in the trees, behind. There was like a little bush there. In the bush, she's like, "Those look like fireflies." And I'm like, "It's October. Fireflies are not out, at least not where I live at. Fireflies are usually out May, June, July, not October." Those were eyeballs. Those were freaking eyeballs. So I told her, I was like, "Those are animal spirits." Well, just as I said that, we turned around and we're walking to the car, and I seen an apparition of an animal spirit go in front of us. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's definitely animal spirits." So we come across a lot of animal spirits. That's one of the reasons why I didn't really hear any verbal, but I seen a lot of stuff. So back to the Betty Knox thing. So I don't know why every time I think about that, I forget about that little area, but there must have been something in there that we have not come across that maybe they don't want to be known. So, but anyways, let's go back to Betty Knox. So we we go back to the car after we come down out of that path, and we decide we're going to go do a little bit of exploring. She's like, "Well, what's over here? There's a huge field over here." So I'm like, "All right, yeah, there is." So I'm very tall, got very long legs. So I climbed over top of it was like a wooden barrier thing, like a gate. Climbed over top of it, walked in. I flashed a flashlight, and you could tell that something huge was laying in that field. It was not a deer. That you could have probably fit 2 or 3 deer in this area. All the grass was laid down, and it wasn't grass. These weeds were higher than me, but that whole area, you could have fit a family of deer in this spot. But it looked like a body and the legs, like fetal position kind of legs. And I looked and I was like, "Check this out." And she's like, "Yeah, something was laying here." She's like, "Yeah, I agree. Let's get out of here." She's like, "I don't even want to go down this path." And I'm like, "All right, no problem." So we hop back out. We start walking down the road. And So automatically, it's like 60 degrees outside, 11 o'clock at night. We're in October. That's not really unusual, but at the same time, we're in the mountains. So 60 degrees was a nice night. So she's like, look at my breath. Well, when you would breathe out, you know how when it's cold out and your hot breath comes out and it's steamy? Well, that's what it was happening. As we were talking, you could see our breath, but it wasn't like directly in front of us. It would come out and like do this turn, like to the right or to the left, like something pulled it. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but it was really weird. So we continued down. She brought it to my attention, which I already noticed, and I didn't really say anything because I was basically I know my capabilities. I was there to help assist her to extend, not just practice, because if you don't practice using your talents and gifts, what happens is they calcify. And what I mean by that is if you don't, like a prime example, I don't use cold water a lot at my house, especially in my bathroom sink. So if I turn on my cold water, the water runs like icky until it clears. Well, that's like that's calcification. So if you don't use your talents, that's what happens. If you don't run, exercise, or extend or stretch them talents and gifts, what happens is it's like they close up. Like, you know what I mean? Like cobwebs build up or calcification happens. So you have to, if you're gifted, you have to extend them. You have to utilize them. So I'm big on Halloween and ghost hunting and all that kind of stuff. I've always been into it. So I wanted to extend my mediumship abilities. Plus, I wanted to assist her because I decalcified her third eye and I also cleared out some of her chakras. And I kind of wanted, because she's starting to open up a little bit, and I kind of wanted to assist her and guide her to see, to let her know that just stop making excuses for everything she was seeing. Stop trying to analyze it. Stop, you know, like the growl we heard. Oh, that's a tractor trailer. We're in the middle of the mountains. It's 10 o'clock at night. You're not going to be hearing a tractor trailer like that. I'm sorry. So she finally was like, yeah, you're right. It just creeped me out. And I have a habit of doing that. And I'm like, yeah, you do. So she finally admitted that she also felt that creepiness as we were walking up that road, going up to that lookout point. She finally admitted that she felt the same thing, but she also felt it for me too. Like she felt that I was creeped out. And I truly was. That was really weird. But anyways, back to this. We're walking down the road, our breasts, we could see it. And then we hit a spot where the temperature dropped 10 degrees, like right now. And it was just like, okay. So I tapped in. I was like, okay, Betty, is that you? They're like, yes. And I'm like, all right. So we established it. The reason why the temperature dropped is because we were in that spot. And she wasn't manifesting, but I had my clairaudient turned on, so I was utilizing it. And I was like, all right, Betty, how did you die? And I was trying to listen to the answer. And just as I asked that question, the person I was with was like, I hear a woman's voice and gurgling. And I was like, and then I heard, did you drown, Betty? Yes. Okay, well, then we know how she died. And I was like, why did you die? Murdered. That's what I heard. Murdered. And I was like, well, who murdered you? And she's like, the jealous one. Watch The Legend of Betty Knox. Look it up. I'm not exactly sure. I'm thinking that she may have been seeing somebody, or somebody had an interest in her and they were jealous. And that's what I was getting out of it. But that's what I heard, the jealous one. So I'm like, okay. And I looked at my friend and I'm like, that's who was following us up that up that path was the person who murdered her. And as I'm telling you this story right now, I got chills up my legs. So the person who murdered Betty was following me and A up that lane, up that path we were on. That's why it was so creepy, because think about it. If he's going to kill, that means he's not a good spirit. He's not in a good place. So, however, we started, then I smelled the essence of musk, like musty, a musty smell. Like, I don't know how to explain it other than that. And I started hearing the crackle of footsteps again. So, I'm thinking that Bigfoot was around me and A all night protecting us, because obviously they're familiar with me from being with Jeff, but they felt comfortable with me. As soon as I went in the woods with Jeff, they were like very playful, they were active, they were fun loving. I mean, for crying out loud, they threw a stone at us. It buzzed past my leg. They could have thrown a boulder and knocked us both out, but they were just trying to get our attention. So I feel like they were around us, like protecting, watching over us, which I thought was totally awesome. And I think when we pulled in and that truck come in behind us, because a truck pulled in behind, not in the area we was, they drove past us. I kind of think that truck scared Bigfoot out of that field, because they sat there. They sat down the road a piece while me and A got out of our car and started walking and trucking. So that was a little bit of that experience. So then we moved on to the next area. Let me tell you about this one. Now, this was interesting. This is where A really tuned in and really stretched her mediumship abilities. So we go to this area, and she's telling me about this ghost that her cousin and her friend were seeing, and she's like, "Do you see anything?" Well, we pull into the area, and we both seen it at the exact same time. This apparition darted right in front of us, right in front of the car as we were pulling in. And I looked at her, and I was just getting ready to say, "Hey, did you see that?" And she looked at me, and she's like, "Hey, did you see that?" And I was like, "Yes, I was just getting ready to ask you that, if you've seen it." I seen it with my literal eyes, because I'm open to that, where she's seen it out of her peripheral vision, which was where I was before I started extending my mediumship abilities. So we didn't really think anything about it. We're just like, okay, well, this is confirmation that this is a good place to be. So we went on down this little path and into a place. She's like, well, there was a restaurant that was here once upon a time. And I'm like, well, oh, that's cool. So we went down. There was a little creek running. And I told her, I was like, I'm surprised this creek's not bigger. She goes, oh, but it is when it rains. And she goes, can't you see all the debris? And I'm like, yeah, kind of, sort of. So, like I said, this is where things got interesting again. So we went down. She's sitting on the log, and she's like, look, like somebody is balancing flat rocks. There was two of them, one on top of another, and it was kind of a secluded area. So I don't know who would have been down there doing that, first of all. So I'm standing there, and we're talking about the accident, and she's like, do you see anybody? And I'm like, yes, I do. I see somebody in a white t-shirt, and she showed me a picture of one of the dudes who was in the accident. I was like, yes, that's him. Well, needless to say, there wasn't just him. There was 5 of them who were around us. And they were practical jokesters. One grabbed my butt. The other one stuck his finger in my ear. They were petting my hair, telling me they liked my hair. And I'm like, because look, it's like real long. I can sit on it pretty much. And I'm like, that's nice that you like my hair, but stop touching me. Because I get these little cold chills. Like, they would put their hand on my shoulder. They were using me as leverage. And I felt like they kept going through me, because I'd get cold chills, like from my back to my front. And then they would go through her. And I seen an orb go past her, and then I seen one on each side of her because she was sitting on a log. One was sitting on one side, and then one sat down on the other one, and the log literally moved. I could see it like somebody sat down on it with a little bit of pressure. Um, but I kept hearing them sticks again, and I told her, I was like, "There's not just these ghosts here. There is something else here." I heard the sticks, and I mean, it was the whole time we were there, probably there about 45 minutes or so. You could hear those sticks breaking, and I'm like, "Hey, there's somebody here. There's somebody here other than them ghosts because they're trucking in these woods." And then we started hearing guys talking. Like, we couldn't make out what they were saying, but you could tell they were men and that they were having a conversation amongst themselves. Let's just say that. So that was a very, very interesting time. Neither one of us felt any negativity. They were actually happy, I think, that we were there and acknowledging them, because I don't feel like a lot of people, most people are afraid of ghosts, like she is, except for when we were out last night. Um, my, I am not, however, the only thing that, um, about ghosts with me is they have a habit of draining my energy. But the thing is I have my little chakra bracelet on, and I was kind of grounded, and I often cleanse myself to shield my energy. And whenever I tap in and do readings or whatever I'm doing, I always ask for only the greatest and highest good to come in. And I always set energetic boundaries, which helps assist with the spirits stealing my energy. But they drained her. Like, she was yawning, and when she started yawning, that's just contagious, and it is legitimately contagious. Then I started yawning, and I'm like, yeah. So it was quite an interesting evening. We both got to stretch our abilities. She finally come to terms with, I think she's starting to come to terms with the fact that she has these abilities as well, that they are handed down to her from her grandma, or somebody along them lines. And since I opened her up, and she started realizing, oh, I'm just analyzing that, I'm making excuses, I'm trying to figure out another reasoning for this noise, and I'm like, girl, so it was quite an interesting evening last night, let me tell you. And I had the most amazing time. It felt so good to go out and stretch them abilities, to work with them, because, you know, being a psychic, being a medium, like I said, you've got to practice that. You've got to stretch them muscles. It's like having a job where you're sitting 40, 50 hours a week, and you go to stand up and you can't move. It's the exact same thing. If you don't use it, you don't stretch them muscles, then it's like it closes everything down. It shuts you down. And if you got gifts and talents, you shouldn't be afraid to use them anyways. Um, I was no way in shape or form I would have ever left anything happen to her. I'd have protected her with my life. And she knows that. And I told her, I was like, you don't have to really worry about the dead. The only thing the dead will do is they will stick to you. But you can cleanse that. You can use sage, Palo Santo, even verbally saying, you are not welcome here. Get off of me. Get out of my aura. Thank you for letting me know, but you're not welcome to go home with me. So I told her, because she was so drained, I was like, you need to cleanse your car. You need to cleanse yourself. And get your scribbles back together, because they they really sucked up her energy. The very first place we were at, they really, whatever that was that manifested and showed their self to her, drained her. That started the draining process. And then the last place we stopped, where we were mingling with these five guys, ghosts, they totally drained her, because she was so open to hearing them, and not as much physically seeing them as feeling them and hearing them. She still has to extend that third eye, because right now she's only seeing out of her peripheral, which is good. That's a start. But I want to try to open her up to her third eye, where she'll start seeing them like I do. Like I can see them like I'm looking at you right now watching this video. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. For a final thought, I will be doing, I'm going to finish up the monthlies again. I got 2 videos left to do, about an hour or so. So we'll be uploading them either this evening or tomorrow. And I will be doing the weeklies again too. I will try to have them out Sunday, because I haven't put them out because we had the full moon in Aries, and the full moon in Aries, oh, let me tell you, major triggers, lots of pouring out of things, lots of inner healing, lots of inner child healing, because I poured a lot of stuff out with that. I went to a bonfire. The trigger started a couple of days before the full moon. The full moon, the Serenity Hill, all of us here at Serenity Hill went to a bonfire as Serenity Hill, and did our own little releases. And then like the next couple of days after that, it just kept coming out and coming out and coming out. It was nonstop for like 4 or 5 days until I finally got myself together enough to start the monthlies. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Sometimes divine's like, you need to do this. This is more important for your well-being, which is where I'm at today. The pouring out, the releasing, the purging, it all had to happen for a reason, and it was part of them extending the muscles, because without me clearing that, I wouldn't be open. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So if you're doing any purging yourself, or whoever's going to watch this video, just take it as everything happens for a reason. And that's my motto. All right. So I just wanted to give you a brief little introduction, because I haven't talked to you guys for a while, and I know you guys are probably wanting your monthlies up. So for those of you who are watching my videos and who are subscribed, thank you. For those of you who come across my videos, please hit the subscription button, hit the little bell for the notification, because I am going to be putting out some videos over the next few days. Also, I'm going to try to get back out into the woods. I need a new camera or a new phone. And when I do get this new phone, or another phone, doesn't have to be new, I have one here, I'm going to transfer it. I am going to go back out in the woods, and I am going to do some recording. I just wish I could have had my recorder on last night to hear them growls. They were creepy. They just come out of freaking nowhere. They're like, grrr, and I'm like, did you hear that? She's like, oh, that's a truck. I'm like, no, that wasn't a truck. So we did hear all kinds of things. I seen all kinds of things. I seen lots of animal spirits. I tapped into Betty Knox. I just, I just wanted to tap in. I really just didn't want to tell you where it was, but that's where I was last night. So Google Betty Knox, the legend of Betty Knox, and Google, I did say Google something else. You'll have to watch it at the beginning of the video. I'm absent-minded, so thoughts come in, thoughts go out, and it's like, I just can't, the chute sometimes just isn't open enough for everything to come out. So, well, with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscription if you're not subscribed. If you are subscribed, thank you for following me. Thank you for being with me throughout my journey. If you're interested in a private reading, I do private readings over Zoom, Messenger, phone call. There is a link in the description box below to the website for Serenity Hill, where you can book. There's a phone number where you can call. You don't have to be in Pennsylvania. You can be anywhere in the world, and I can still pull your energy through and read you. So if you're interested in that, I'm also level 2 Reiki, which means I can distant heal you. So if you're interested in a session like that, feel free to check out that website. Or if you're just interested in learning a little bit about my journey, you can also go over and check out the website. There's a little bit of a long bio, not a little, but a long bio. Um, that was journaled from my spirit team through myself about a little bit about my journey. So, all right, enough rambling. Thank you for watching and blessed be.